Good evening. Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting, 14th of January, 2013. The first item is our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please join me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I just saw the crock pot go in.
The Selectmen convened 15 minutes ago at 5:45. Immediately went into non-public under RSA 91A3, Roman 2. There was parentheses A for compensation and parentheses B for hiring. Came out of non-public about 4 minutes ago, and now we're in public. Let's make any motions first that we needed to because of our discussion in.
I'll make a
motion to
Non-public.
continue the hiring process for the special part-time officer so that the officer can make the next academy.
Police Department.
Police academy, yeah, and the police officer.
second.
Okay, those in favor of the hiring action, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We had a second item on compensation, actually leave request.
Motion to approve the town clerk's leave request.
Second. Those in favor of the motion, please say
Aye.
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 Thank you, Board. Moving along to the minutes of 7 January, which includes 2 sessions of non-public.
Move to accept the public minutes. Do you want to do them in separate or both? And the non-public minutes dated 1/7/2013.
Thank you, Mark. Any need for corrections or second the motion?
Second.
Thank you. And need for any corrections? Thank you. Take the vote, please. Those in favor?
Aye.
We have accepted minutes with no corrections. And Sue, I believe you don't have any announcements prepared for us.
No, didn't.
I do.
It's been a quiet week. Selectman Devanza.
Yep, I do have announcements from the Goffstown Police Association. They had their annual awards a week and a half ago, and Officer of the Year was Officer Chris Patton. Employee of the Year was Dispatcher Emily Crosby. Part-time Employee of the Year was Officer Glenn Dubois. And there were 2 life-saving awards. One was to Officer Hull, and the other one was to Officer Advision. I apologize.
Thank you. Any further announcements by the board members? Sue, let's see, Carl is due in at 7 on a public works issue. And we have an oath of office scheduled at 6:30, so we're well ahead of our schedule here. So Sue, would you please pick up the slack on the town administrator?
I will. Your weekly meeting schedules in your packets. Tomorrow night is Budget Committee, and I understand the chairman will be attending for the vice chairman. Wednesday is Library Trustees, and also Parks and Rec. Your consensus folder tonight includes manifest. The 2012 AP warrant is $755, and the 2013 AP warrant is $670,212.91. Your payroll and withholding for this week is $141,334.76. You also have acceptance of a drainage easement on map 9, lot 4-47. Motion's needed.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. A vote on the consensus photo, please. Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And for assessor recommendations tonight, you have an intent to cut on map 10, lots 23 and 30-1. Veterans tax credit on map 5, lot 83-18-B. And a land use change tax lien relief on map 9, lot 60-2. Motion needed.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mark and Phil. Those in favor of the assessors' recommendations, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And at tab 7E, you have the annual warrant articles, and there's a draft explanations for each article. And also, it's my understanding you wanted to identify the speakers for these. These explanations will provide the basis not only for your letters to the editor, but also the voter's guide, and we'll put them up on the website and anywhere else that you would like to get that word out. So I thought we could go through that and make changes as needed.
Yes, I've got a couple prepared as handouts, and maybe let's do that.
Okay. Article 11, any changes in that one?
The missing dollar sign for wages is something you'll build in
Yes.
later on.
I did not have time to get to that. Our software doesn't make that easy.
Taking votes now?
Yeah, I assume you'll speak to this one because you were the budget committee rep?
Right, but I'm saying, are we taking votes to recommend tonight, or no? We're waiting on
No,
that.
because the
wait
budget
till
committee
that.
has not concluded. They'll
Right,
conclude
okay.
tomorrow night. So I'll have this ready for next week.
Okay. Okay, obviously I'll do 11, so.
Thank you, Scott.
Did anyone have any changes to the explanation on 11?
No.
Besides filling in the blank? Article 12 is a collective bargaining agreement. And Selectman Adams was the Selectman's rep for the
That's who I assumed
negotiations.
would do it.
Yeah, I can do it.
Thank you, Carlos.
Were there any changes to that explanation?
No.
You're batting 2 for 2, Sue.
Good.
Good writing.
Now the party's over.
Yeah.
I put down the challenge now.
Yeah.
Well, the next four are, as we were discussing prior to the meeting, unreserved fund balance articles. So I think,
Yeah, I was, after going through the public hearing, I think there is a need to have an explanation of what is this fund and why is the board, what are the reasons why the Board of Selectmen are using funds for the following four articles. So I think that would be.
Public hearing showed concern, well, how does money get into the fund?
How do you take it
Under
out?
what
and
situation does it come out?
So,
And why is it necessary in the first place? And of course, we all know those rules, but it needs to be some education there.
okay, did we want that in the voter's guide as well
yes.
as letters to the
I-
editor?
Yes, I think it is necessary because it deals with four articles. That's just my opinion. So if we did do that and we put Articles 13, 14, 15, and 16 pertain, you will note that they use the term fund balance. So funding is coming. There's no taxation. They're coming from the use of fund balance. Here is a explanation of what it is.
That could be a separate explanation before those four articles.
That's my point.
Separate
That's my
clause
point.
all by
Yeah.
itself. Phil?
Well, yeah, just to touch base on that, that's what I thought, that we might be better off just having a separate explanation of fund balance
Yeah.
by itself.
Yeah.
All right, because as you said, there were several, there's different ways that money becomes part of the fund balance, okay? So there was one comment that was made that wasn't really, it was a partial amount accurate, but it could be, we have to be careful that it's not misconstrued and taken as that's how all money gets into the fund balance.
What was the statement? I wasn't there.
Being overtaxed,
Overtaxed.
and that's not true.
No,
That's not true.
It's just, we did not expend what was
That's right.
allowed.
there's two ways to add to fund balance. One, you under expend, or two, you get more revenue than you
revenues, yeah.
expected.
Yeah, but any unanticipated revenue that comes in winds up possibly being in there because it goes into the general fund.
Well,
the
if you're
control.
using the statutory definition of unanticipated revenue, we
But-
use that money, we spend that money. We receive it and spend it in the same year.
I understand, but all your revenues technically come in that go into the general fund. If you don't use all of them to offset taxes, they're left over and they wind up in surplus.
Right, that's what I said. You get additional revenue. You may have estimated revenues at, whatever, 7 million, and they come in at 7.5 million. That
But any unanticipated revenue comes in could very possibly wind up in it.
Yeah, I guess I just have a problem
See-
using
see,
that word.
I think one, I think we definitely need an explanation. What I got from that comment was, if the school district has surplus funds, leftover, unspent monies, or revenues that are unanticipated, those monies automatically go towards offsetting
Their tax
their
rate.
tax rate for the following year. The Board of Selectmen, it does not necessarily do that. It goes into a fund balance, then it is the discretion of the Board of Selectmen.
But also
We have to
that's
tell the
in
reason.
there.
Reason, right.
Why?
Also, that's in there, okay? We are technically legally liable for any default of the enterprise sewer fund, and we have to have money to cover that, and we're required to have that.
But I'm just
But
saying.
the reason they allow us to have a fund balance and not the school is because we have the responsibility of collecting
Taxation.
taxes.
Right.
Right, but we're also.
So if we don't collect
also
everything, we
have
need that
the
money.
responsibility of
pay
all the bonds, the bonding, and we ultimately have the responsibility of the sewer budget. If something were to happen in the sewer department,
Yep.
we would ultimately be responsible.
That's why
It's
they
an
have
awful lot of-
retained earnings.
It's an awful lot of detail to explain the
Yeah.
fund balance.
I understand.
Because then you get into the idea that it's, well, what's the size of the required fund balance? Was this not our $19 million that we potentially
I
might
think
spend
this
for
one,
the
this
town?
one's gonna take a little bit of, I mean, I envision this, it's gonna be
Yeah.
And,
a
and
page.
what we might want to do in there is also
Wanna
give
give
an
it this?
example
Yeah.
of the time the ambulance was in an accident and we had to buy a new ambulance. And we needed money for we got the okay from the Department of DRA.
Why did the cost exceed our insurance on
Yes.
that one?
It was $90,000, so we were allowed to take the money out of fund balance, buy the ambulance, and put it on a warrant the next year.
Right, and we got reimbursed by the
Correct.
EMS fund.
So, I mean, there seems to be consensus that we have to do a
An
write-up on
explanation.
that.
Yep.
And we also had money in there to repair the slopes at the landfill at Orange Pond.
And I also think that bullets are, like what you did here.
Let's continue
Okay.
with Article 13, please. In the course of the next week, if you see any necessary changes to these,
Yeah, we
These
won't go,
articles,
we don't
please-
go to.
please let Sue
print
know.
For the voters' guide till
I-
after the deliberative session. But I think you want to get this out in the letters to the editor prior to.
I'd like 13. If anybody else has any objections, I would like to take 13, the software one.
I'll take 14.
The chair will take 15.
Thank goodness.
Let's see. And I'm not sure I had enough handouts, but Scott.
We need more information on this
Yes,
one.
that's the reason I typed this.
I'd sent this off to DPW hoping to get
How
a
many do you
little
have?
more detail. You've got it.
You need one? Oh, we can
No.
share that.
Yes, there's just four lines in the explanations, too slim. And I'm suggesting that after the sentence that reads, this is in the area of the rail trail near the county land. And at that point, I'm suggesting adding in these two explanations. And I'll just read them so you get them all said. The article starts off, Article 15 addresses a granite culvert. I would like to say that granite culvert failure and a slope failure, so that the word failure is in there twice. On town land and repair of the abutters land. This is in the area of the rail trail near the county land. And then I go on and to explain the technicalities in the voter's guide of the actual damage follows. Catherine, you'll have a readout of this.
Thank you.
The sidewalls of the granite block culvert, built in the 1850s, approximately 80 yards long, 70 feet below the grade of the former rail bed, have become undermined. Additionally, one entire granite block about 6 foot long was dislodged from its sidewall location by a flood situation. Repairs are needed before the culvert collapses and impounds the water due to two streams which flow through the culvert to reach the river. The impoundment of storm water would threaten the integrity of the entire sand-built rail embankment and the downstream land of the abutter. And the downstream land is county. Furthermore, during a long period of time after which the rails had been removed, neglect of surface water drainage patterns at the rail bed elevation, and this is located about 100 yards from the above culvert we just discussed, have caused storm water to concentrate and erode a deep gully into the side hill of the rail embankment. And it washed away a deep gully of land that belongs to the abutter. The washout continues to threaten the rail embankment, and which has already shows telltale signs of a landslide type collapse. The land has sloughed down about 6 to 9 inches, and you can see the crack in the earth where it's about to slide out.
Just a couple suggestions, if possible, if we could include a map as to where this is. Because people that happen at the public hearing, where is this? Well, if we can just give a little map to show where it is, and then just maybe
I did that last year, didn't I?
Yeah,
And
title it.
I was successful.
Title it culvert.
Thank you for the
and
challenge,
slope.
Selectman Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if those streams have names, we ought to call them out. I know
They're-
at least one of them was.
Their names.
I thought one of them was, not skips my mind. I thought one of them had a name.
In the-
Well, if we don't fix it, it'll be called
Well, it'll
Pierce's
be-
Pond. So
Okay.
Thank you for giving that
So we'll
detail.
continue to work on that one.
By the way, Telltale is T-A-L-E.
Thank you. I felt that was, I might have misspelled that, but I was too rushed.
oh, we're making corrections on these, right? Because I know
Yeah.
we just okay. I'm sorry. Can we go back then? I did on 13. I forgot to. This is just a slight one. 1, 2, 3, fourth line down. Actually, it starts with third. The town installed its current municipal finance software in 2000, and over the last 5 years has experienced, it says, a decrease in vendor support, stability, and software functioning. That doesn't sound as dire as right. So I think we should maybe need to tweak that somehow. Experience maybe serious issues with vendor support, system instability, and software functioning or something that
Uncertainty of
right
of the system.
or unreliable unreliability.
Uncertainty of the future of the system.
I think, though, we need to have something in there.
What is this, Municipal? What does it do?
Well, not only that, but to the effect that this used to be a very popular software, okay? And now, how many municipalities have this software? So that to show that, because when I read this, the way it's in here, the first thing that comes to me is, well, why don't you just deal with the vendor and get it straightened out?
There's, correct.
See,
There is no vendor.
I think there's a couple of things that we probably want to tweak. First of all, I would encourage all of us to have friends or family read through this. Because they're the ones, we know this.
Right.
But you want to get it in the hands of somebody who doesn't. So the first thing that on this one, when you read through it, what exactly is municipal finance software? I think we have to explain. The municipal software allows us to process over 50,000 transactions.
Every financial transaction.
It pays. It pays all of the
many
town's
accounts
bills.
we have to do.
Right. It deals with all those things. Unfortunately, the system is 12 years old, and we have experienced significant concerns with the stability, et cetera, where it is presently unreliable for the town in its current function. Therefore, we did this and that.
But we have to address somehow how this is not
no longer supported.
right.
There have been no version upgrades.
Right, and right.
And it wasn't mainstream finance software when we obtained it in the first place. It was handcrafted by a few people to make work for financing. And as that staff got smaller, we're still trying to negotiate with a firm for a part-time person.
The vendor's focus has been more on another piece of software they have rather than this, so there's been no upgrades.
The ability to find somebody who can make the software work. Some of the annual changes we need aren't.
They meet the bare
They're
minimum.
not code entries
the IRS
by a
minimum.
staff. Mhm.
And the other thing that I kind of like,
Requires us to go back to the vendor.
I like the bullets, but
Bullets?
Bill,
I'm big on bullets.
One point, we had a report, a final report from the committee that was put together by Finance Director Don Bora, that we accepted as a final report. That final report, was that going to be in the town report?
In the annual report?
Right.
We can put it in.
Well, that might be important to have people to be able to read that report, because that might be able to give a different perspective to people than us trying to explain.
Well, clearly a link to it
Yep.
would be good.
Right.
And I don't know, what is everybody's thoughts on? I'm just my own personal. I like bullets because I think it's more quick and succinct. I don't know what everybody else's opinions are. Paragraphs, people seem to not read paragraphs, but
I would prefer some, when it's
appropriate.
the phrasing is appropriate, to bulletize some of the flow of information.
Okay.
I like Scott's suggestion that we ought to shoot this with family, friends, and relatives, But I also think whoever's presenting the article, if they want to edit it, they ought to edit it themselves and bring it back to the board, because they're going to be the ones speaking the words.
Yeah.
So they need to be comfortable with it, so.
Which one are we on?
14.
Were there any changes to 14?
Yeah, I had. In the third sentence, it says, third line down, this software is used by a majority of police departments in the state. According to the police chief at the public hearing, he said all but 2.
Yes,
Okay.
all but 2.
And I just think that, sends a better message.
Right.
And then, I know this is semantics, but due to the wide use of this software, it may entice other departments. I put, we hope to entice other departments, or we hope to.
We expect other police departments.
We expect, right?
Or anticipate.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Something
that's
like
it,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good word. Then there was something. I just think this also needs just a little bit of more. A little bit more explanation. The chief told us that the software you put in here, it reduces the redundancy by employees, but somehow I think we just want to explain that what does that exactly mean? And what sells me on this is that
Keyboarding twice.
there is, right, currently we have the potential of having to re-input data up to 3 times. This software will be one-time data entry, And it will not only
A
save,
police officer on the scene does certain amount of data entry on his cruiser laptop.
it'll be minimal, more so,
Minimal.
I guess what I'm trying to say is dispatch will pre-populate certain things.
But then back at
The officer then populates certain things, and then that's kind of it. It doesn't require like the re-entry of data, which, what does that mean? That means that our police officers are spending more time patrolling and less time doing paperwork. It also means that our records folks are spending less time doing data entry, and they'll be able to do other activities and.
Well, I think what this does, and this a way that this has to be done, and it probably could be done in one sentence. Basically, what we're doing here is the primary data entry from the officer on the laptop is now going to be accessible to records, and it's going to be compatible with the records, because all the software, rather than having separate software that's not compatible, that has to be re-entered. So somehow we have to kind of explain that that's basically what it is.
But what it also does, from what and we need to get the chief is here. But if with the IMC software, chief, it's when the officer gets that call, gets the dispatch,
Correct.
right? Doesn't the information from dispatch then kind of pre-populate some of the information that is on in the cruiser's lap in the laptop of the
Absolutely,
cruiser?
and that filters all the way down through the report. So if it's not just the laptop, and we have to generate what we call an initial incident report,
Right.
or an arrest report, or evidence reports, that information will filter on down into each of those.
The new software, but
Right.
currently we don't.
Currently, we don't do it. The officer re-enters it
But
for each
in
form.
the long run, doesn't it allow the officers to spend more time on the streets?
That's what
Absolutely.
I'm thinking, right?
That's
And that's what we
that's
need
the
to
message.
say, right?
Have more time on the streets. It's also going to reduce duplication of work.
That's the message.
Which will allow us, while we're not going to be able to cut anybody, it will allow us to
use your
continue to
resources
grow
More efficiently.
and
used
and remain that same efficiency that we
But the
have.
simple message that people can grasp and keep in their minds is more time on the streets. for
More
police
officers on the street, absolutely.
So as an example, a call comes in, and let's just say it's a motor vehicle type accident.
Burglary would probably be the better.
Burglary is a better one?
Burglary.
So you get it's dispatch, and it's this particular address. That'll automatically populate the address, the name of the owner of the property, et cetera. Or even on even on an accident, same thing. It'll pre-populate some of those things.
Accidents are difficult because you don't know where it's coming from or who's calling. So
Okay.
if you drive by and see one, I don't want that populating my accident. But if you're a homeowner and you have a burglary, and as you say, the burglary is at my house, and I've started
I gotcha.
to.
On the 911, it'll
it's going to
populate that.
backfill all of that information as your victim, as your reporting party, et cetera. So the owner of the property that might be taken. So.
Okay. Well, Phil, you've got a challenge to work with Sue, and on that Article 14 as is numbered right now.
He's got an opportunity. It's a
Continue
good
to
thing.
beef that up and speak to it. Voters guide. Thank you, Phil. We'll suspend our discussion on the articles and move on to our 6:30 agenda item, and that's an oath of office to a new member of our police department. Okay.
Just want to make sure,
Like me up there, right?
Sure, if you wouldn't mind.
and we'll all get up there.
Gonna get up there?
Good evening, and I'd like to thank the board initially for allowing us this opportunity to swear in our newest officer, Kevin Ferreira. He's just graduated right before Christmas from the police academy. Tonight he brings his family with him, his wife Heather, his 3 children, Graydon, Emma, and I heard Julie before.
Yep.
Kevin, if you want to stand over here, please.
Yes, sir.
Here's what you so you'll, I don't have it with me.
Staff. Oath.
The oath? No.
We'd already signed off.
They signed on it. You wanted it sent back to you.
Someone please go get the oath.
Do you have a copy upstairs?
Well, how's the weather outside?
I have something on my
You know this by heart
computer
already?
that's gonna take a minute.
We were just talking about the IM software and you're going to
I have it on my smartphone. There's an app for that. Whereas the inhabitants of the town of Goffstown and the state of New Hampshire. Do you- yeah.
When was graduation day?
December 21st.
So it's been 3 weeks now, right?
Yeah.
Chief kept you busy doing something?
Oh, yeah. Had a good 3 weeks so far.
Couple weeks ago. Yeah, that's the last one that was for the next 100 years. Not stuck that good.
No, I can't. I don't know where she files it.
It's funny 'cause I have them on my laptop.
You do?
Yeah, I didn't bring it with me.
Where wasn't it? Our packet.
No.
No.
But I don't know why, but I always had the oaths of office
Oh, really?
on my laptop. It's not in there. You should tell them to stop recording.
Chief, is it something you send by email to her? No. I'm not sure where she keeps them. It's different though than the other ones about this request.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah, get a chance to grab a bite.
And then she was like,
Wives of the Police Association. We do visit. New officers
Oh, we can start now? You'll have to get used to the
Oh,
yeah.
Take a little while.
keep doing it to us.
Oh, yeah. Like that.
okay, Brent. So we're gonna
Should have it online somewhere.
This is what distinguishes me, I guess, from the department camera and my own.
It's hard to lose it, huh?
I'm trying to keep it tucked in. It's my wife's camera. She's going to Europe, so she wanted to be in trying to think of this. Very professional. I'm trying to keep it.
What is that?
My wife's going to Europe in April, so she got to buy all these straps to make us.
Oh, okay.
Tourist.
Charlie Max or Pizza Shop?
It's, you have to watch around as you're driving from our direction into town.
Time to get the patrol.
Short hill.
How'd you get Charlie Max? He's right outside our town. Yep. Yeah, the owner and chef. I believe it's his wife's family. They're related to breakfast place right next door.
Yes, twice.
Common denominator, you and me, right?
It's always been crowded.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Your daughter got pulled over by it.
Ruth, you know, people walk up to my table.
You know what it was?
Yeah. Screw in the heaters in
There's an adjustment that the gas comes into the exchanger.
Yeah.
And it slides in and out.
Yeah.
To allow more air or less air. The vibrator goes right up against it.
So what was it?
Back it off a little bit and have a little gas pressure on it. Really?
We spent
and we
what,
put
an
it
hour,
up to
hour and a half
8.8.
in the police department looking for an odor. It was in the back storage room out back. We walked in immediately.
50?
Yeah, went to 50 right away. I said, let's back out of here. Let's go get our, let's go get our,
Oh, perfect. We'll come back. We'll do it at 7 o'clock.
let's go get our air. So we come back in, we got back in, we looked around, walked around.
We don't have
As high as 60 something. So we looked around, the only way we figured out we'd do it was the heater on the heater from the rafters. And sure enough,
Let's do it at 7 o'clock. We're good.
Can we postpone this for another 15, 20 minutes?
You may. Yeah. Chow down, I guess.
Body.
We'll take a few minute break.
He should. You would think that he would.
Come on,
We'll see you later.
Okay.
We have to, this oath of office is rather 18th century language.
All right. You didn't bring any nuts tonight?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, we're gonna come back in a few minutes.
You can watch. This is very interesting. The whole process.
I'm sure the young ones would love it.
You can get your Boy Scout or Girl Scout badge, right?
You can't find it, Phil, or what?
Denise has to go.
I thought they always have them. Then they typically will sign it.
That requires a cruiser with lights and sirens.
Keep going with the warrant articles.
Yeah.
Call her back on.
Okay. We're still on.
Okay, let me get Catherine down here.
So we're on.
For the public, we had a slight delay. We were ready to swear in Officer Kevin Ferrara, and unfortunately, the actual oath of office has disappeared, and a copy is being speedily brought here from the police department. Stay off of Mass Road. That ought to be a Nixle alert.
Lights and sirens, here we go, right? Yeah.
And if I could get the town administrator back.
Sue's on the phone. She'll be right with us.
Dave, you're losing control.
Yes. What do you want to discuss, Scott?
Farrier.
I'm good.
Scott wanted to go check on the meatballs.
I'm gonna miss this. Oh, who's doing 16?
What is 16?
Sure. I'll give it a whirl.
I figured you would take 17.
Well, I'd take 17, but
Yeah, you gotta take 17.
Hi.
I'll take 17.
Mark?
Who said 16?
You.
I didn't hear.
That's another
You were
public works.
Collis.
17, Mark.
You guys have the experience with this stuff.
Hollis
you know?
is the rep for that department, right?
All right.
Sorry, Collis.
Sorry.
While we're on 16,
Who's doing 16?
calls.
It'll take a lot
In
more
the
information than that.
in the explanation, I have one concern. You know, a third of our voters, Bernardville, or that immediate region, and the fact that these streets are Pleasant, Maine, Elm High, not all of them may have had those streets on the tip of their memory banks. And I'm wondering if a phrase could be put in place there that would make it more meaningful to everybody in the town. Go ahead and share those.
Yeah.
Is that the explanation would start, Article 16 is a public works project which proposes to improve the intersections, and then that's where my bolded words come in, where State Route 13 and 114 merge together and then split apart, locally known as the intersections of Pleasant, Main, and the other 4 streets. Everybody in the town would know those route numbers and the fact that they come together and then 2 blocks later merge back apart.
I think your first comment, I think, has validity to it in the sense that, in terms of the bigger picture, maybe we need to add one sentence and just something to the extent that, we have done a great deal of infrastructure improvements in the town, most, over the last several years, sewer project, water.
In the Penarville section, too?
Right. No, right. I think that needs to kind of be stated. And this particular project is in the village, and so because I hope voters don't look at it that way, but it should.
That's why 2 months ago I suggested that it was this article used to be worded village road improvements.
Right.
I wanted to get out of the word village, and I want to get further drive home the fact that these are the intersections of 2 state highways.
Right.
I think this needs a lot more explanation,
Yeah.
since we're talking about big dollars,
And
since it's assigned to me, I'll rework it and bring it back
there's
to the board.
there's a tremendous amount of history of committees studying.
Also known as, you know what you might put in there? Also known as Dee's Corner.
No one's going to know that.
Yeah, really.
Oh, yes.
No
Yes,
way.
oh, yes, they
Only
will.
the old
Oh,
timers
yes.
will know
Dee's
that.
Corner.
That have been here.
But if there's enough space here to put some sense to the fact that we've had committees, and this has been a point of discussion for well over a decade.
Oh, State DOT has weighed in on.
20 years or more.
Yes.
Another map. I think another map would be.
As I explained at the public hearing, this is our one opportunity to move ahead. It's if this grant is not accepted and funded with the town money as a match, we've lost the opportunity, and it's a lot of momentum that's been building up for the last 3 years to make this happen.
Mr. Chair, on the grant itself, the way it's expressed, the CMAQ, could we spell that out rather
We
than?
do.
It did. It is right before
It's
it.
down below, but I mean,
Yeah.
up on top next to the 446,000.
Oh, in the actual
Yes.
article,
No, up top here.
yes.
It's in the explanation. So
In the article, you
in
mean?
the, in the article. Is that possible?
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. We haven't finalized the warrant yet.
And I'm not sure if we could do this, but when people say Main, Elm, and High, I mean, do we want to put in parentheses library? I mean, a lot of people know it like that.
Dee's Corner.
Dee's Corner. Well, a lot of people know the library intersection and like
The popcorn stand corner?
near the library and the
Dee's
popcorn
Corner.
stand. I mean, I don't know. Or a map is going to do just as fine. So,
Yeah, if you want to assign it to me, I'll rewrite it and bring it back.
all
to
right,
the board.
I'm good.
Think it calls.
You know, Dee's Corner is just like
Next week, Carlos?
Yes.
like Nick's Corner. You know where Nick's Corner is, right?
Yes, that's Henry Ridge.
Yeah.
Nickerson's, yeah.
That I'll get it to you before then, so we'll have it.
We'll put it in the
time to-
packet.
time to
That would be
look at it
great.
before.
Yeah, if you could get it to me on Thursday, because Friday I'm in Concord all day.
Okay.
Finally, Mark,
That's it.
you'd wanted to do the justification on 17.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have suggestions on 17 beyond what's written here?
Just a slight. Capital Reserve Fund was established in 2008 for the purpose of defraying the impact of the significant cost of fire apparatus.
I'll rework it, and like Carlos, I'll get it back to you so that we have it.
Okay.
That'll work out.
Yep, any revisions, just get them back to me Thursday, and I'll make sure they make it to the packet.
18 is the revolving fund for Goffstown TV.
I'll do that one.
I'll do 19.
Article 19, Phil will do the explanation for, and that's a revolving fund for the police special details. Article 20,
I'll do that.
do we explain, we explain?
We do, because
Yep.
it's our article.
It's our article.
Yeah, maybe Mark will do it, since he only has one.
I can do it.
21 we don't do. That would be the petitioner.
Yeah, I just used the information he gave us when he appeared before us. But we should, we can make a recommendation on this one tonight.
Yeah. We just want to wait until, let's not gonna matter. Does it matter?
No, we can do that one with the operating budget next week, if you want.
Well, they're going to do all of them next, right? They're going to do every single one.
Who?
The budget committee.
Tomorrow night.
They will
They should
take
finalize
on
their,
all of them.
Mhm.
Right.
or any they had public input on. Did they have public input on every article?
As a matter of fact,
They usually only revisit the ones they had some
right,
public
but
input
there
on.
really wasn't, on several, there really wasn't. There was like no discussion on some of them.
Yeah, I haven't watched the video yet.
Yeah.
I just got it today, so.
So we're gonna discuss this next week as to whether or not we're gonna
All of them.
recommend it?
Next week, we'll look at the revisions and also take a position on the operating budget article and on Crispin House.
Right. Good.
Okay.
Printing, like that. Town
We've
report.
identified the speakers for
Yep,
each one.
town report.
Town report, bid award, at tab 7F, you'll find a memo from Assistant Town Administrator regarding the 4 bids received for the annual report. And for the record, Catherine, could you just copy those from 7F and put it in the minutes?
Yep.
He recommends bid award to the low bidder, Case Printing, in the amount of $5,126. And Case is the vendor who has done the past few years here.
So moved.
Second.
Excuse me, I'm just reading the bid amounts. Any discussion then? Those in favor of the bid award, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0, Catherine.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, regarding content, it's that time of year for us to start thinking about covers and themes for the annual report dedications. Staff has suggested a theme about Pinardville's future because we have embarked on that community planning grant, signed on, hired a consultant in 2012, and that process will be going on during 2013, and thought perhaps we could get some different pictures of things that have gone on in Pinardville in the past few years and maybe even a historic perspective. That was one idea for theme. Any others? It might generate interest, too, in that whole planning process.
And we'll have a page for the New Hampshire Volunteer of the Year.
Yes. For 2012, yes.
We can put a picture of the construction then and now. What it looked like while it was going on, now that it's done. It's a suggestion.
Yeah, we're going to see what we have for photos.
Is there any organization that is having like any significant historical in 2013, like, whether it be St. Anselm College or, I mean, is anything like 100 years old, 150 years old or something that?
I had one for St. A's a few years back. A few years back, there was one for St. A's. We had
Okay.
it on
I just wasn't sure if there was anything significant there. I'm fine with the Pinardville one myself.
You could check with the Pinardville Lions Club.
And I assume we'll do the memoriam, all those, we'll do those
Yes,
types of things.
yes,
Okay.
we've had 3 significant ones
Right.
last year.
And then any retirements, we've done those of any long-term employees?
Marsha was the only one from library.
Marsha McKay,
Yeah,
okay.
she was the only long-term employee who retired
But we'll talk about that in non-public.
for dedication.
Yeah.
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 Not just, what we do, and outside of dedication, we just recognize
Right, yeah, I
long-term.
understand.
People who,
Yeah.
retirees
Yeah.
and people who passed in the past year.
So that's your report.
Am I done? Yeah, I guess I am.
I'd just like to, for the record, go back, and I've been aware of offering public comment session. However, I've been keeping my eye, and there's been no public here to make that offer true. I hope that the room being filled with police officers isn't scary anybody away. But we always have a public comment rather late in the evening, too, that I'm willing to entertain if somebody were late getting here. Under the Selectmen's discussion, we have one old business item, and that's snow plowing agreements. I did not bring my set of agreements from last week's packet.
Right here. There's 2 sets for signature.
I had read them all.
Are we supposed to take copies, or?
No, those are for signature. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Sue,
yes, that's it.
the flyer.
No.
Yeah, it was in last week's packet. Carl has looked them over, and he sees no issue unless you wanted to add in to that about trash pickup.
I thought we were gonna keep them separate.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
That's what,
I see that, I didn't think his letter to us, that's one of my comments, addressed the trash pickup.
No, it didn't.
So then why would we agree to, because there was, the argument is that
Well,
if the plowing is incidental, subordinate incidental, I don't see how trash pickup is. Or recycling for that
Well,
matter.
no, the
but-
board had voted to continue all services.
Correct, but we were
Currently
gonna be
do that.
getting an opinion on,
I-
we were getting a draft agreement on the plowing, and then I thought we were getting a legal type of an opinion on trash.
I
And-
think what binds you on trash, or restricts you on trash, I should say, is probably your solid waste order. So I think you need to look at that. Because I think that's, I think the solid waste ordinance needs to be looked at anyway overall.
We have before us reciprocal agreements for the plowing of parking areas dealing with St. Matthew's Episcopal Church, Roman Catholic Bishop of Manchester, St. Lawrence property, First Baptist Church of Gulfstown, and St. Claudine Villa Academy. And these are reciprocal agreements due to our reciprocal in that certain services are provided by those organizations that benefit the town.
is this one or 2?
There's 2 copies of each, I
Oh,
believe.
okay. I didn't realize there was 2 copies.
And these agreements have been drafted by our town attorney, reviewed by Public Works, reviewed last week by the board, at least available last week.
What's the signature on it? Is it the chairman, or is it the full board?
And it would be signed by the chairman.
I'll make a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the agreements for snow plowing agreements.
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Any further discussion on this, Scott?
Yeah, I won't be voting in favor of this for 2 reasons. Well, 3 reasons probably. One, I still don't believe that it's legal. Secondly, we were supposed to have an agreement that clearly delineated what was the cost of the services that are being provided by these entities, and then what was the cost of the plowing, and that is not in those agreements, so that's another reason. And then the third reason was really, our discussion over the last couple of weeks, where we're talking about potentially paying somebody to plow parking lots, whether it be, school parking lots, when we're doing these private ones, with taxpayer money. And
Due to a reciprocal, we maintain
Right.
there's some reciprocal benefit.
And then the other thing that kind of dawned on me the last couple of weeks, and again, is that when we talked about Main Street program, or most recently Crispin's House, arguably Main Street program and Crispin's House are nonprofit organizations, and they do a tremendous amount for the Goffstown community, and we put those. We're using taxpayer money, but yet we put those on the ballot. And that was the rationale that was explained, that even though we've approved Main Street for 12 years, it's, we said that we were going to put it on the ballot. And then the other issue is most recently with Crispin's House. It's like, we know that they do a tremendous amount of work through after-school programs, volunteers, diversion, all these other things, a lot of great things, but let's put it on the ballot. So that's $20,000. Main Street was $15,000, it's now $20,000. And we know that collectively this plowing is somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 a year, but yet that one we're not going to put on the ballot. Because that one we feel we have enough, authority. So,
Well, they're different, because one's raising taxes for that purpose. This one's a quid pro quo.
no, it's the expense of taxpayer dollars. And we are expending taxpayer dollars to do this, and we're doing that unilaterally. We're doing that without the vote of the taxpayers, and, arguably Main Street gives ton back in terms of, if I was to quantify that, they give a ton back in terms of their dollars. So that's the reasons why I won't be voting for that.
And I would say that you don't want cost in this agreement. This is an agreement in perpetuity until you decide to change it. Costs are going to change from year to year. You don't want to go through the expense of changing the costs in the agreement every year. And the agreements that I had brought to the board during this discussion during the year from other towns didn't have cost in it. It just said what the services were the other entity provided.
If I could also add, again, my objection is that I think this is a very slippery slope, whereby we're expending taxpayer dollars for, albeit good organizations in town, but this is not. I just don't believe that the reason why almost all New Hampshire municipalities do not pave church parking lots is because it's not legal, and I think this board has found a wiggly room around this, and I just think that that's objectionable. And we get a quid pro quo from many other organizations, and we do not take care of that property, albeit the Lions Club, Allard Park, and many others. So this board, if you're holding true to this, then I would hope that if another organization comes back in a week or two and says that they want either garbage picked up, or grass being cut, or plowing of the Jehovah's Witness Hall on Daniel Plummer, that the town will do that too, because you got to treat everybody fairly. So,
I'm voting in favor of the 4 agreements as they do document the quid pro quo, which makes it legal if we recognize what the benefit is the town is gaining. But as the town lawyer had explained to us, town attorney, we do have to document what we believe is the benefit being derived, and that's what these documents do. So I'll call for the vote on these 4 agreements. That motion authorizes me to sign them.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Scott, any dissent?
Yeah.
Thank you. 4-1-0, motion passes. These actual documents are marked draft, so I'll sign one when those words are removed. Now, after a slight delay, we have a patrolman, Kevin Ferrara, and being sworn in. So let's attend to that. Did they come back from your headquarters?
Yes, it did.
Didn't break any laws, did you?
No, we did not.
Kevin, delay, but here we go. Please, whereas there is a vacancy in the office of police officer in the town of Goffstown Police Department, and whereas we, the subscribers, have confidence in your ability and integrity to perform the duties of said office, we do hereby appoint you, said Kevin Ferrara, police officer in the said town, and upon your taking the oath of office and having this appointment and the certificate of said office recorded by the town clerk, you shall have the powers to perform duties and be subject to the liabilities of such office until another person shall be chosen and qualified in your stead. And then I, and repeat your name,
I, Kevin Ferrier Jr.,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and perform all duties
and perform all duties
incumbent upon me
incumbent upon me
as a police officer
as a police officer
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeably to the United States Constitution,
agreeably to the United States Constitution,
rules and regulations of the Constitution,
rules and regulations of the Constitution,
and laws of the state of New Hampshire,
and laws of the state of New Hampshire,
and the ordinances of the town of Goffstown.
and the ordinances of the town of Goffstown.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. I understand you have the honor of pinning on the badge.
Understand that too?
Okay, would you like to introduce other family members while we?
Sure. All right. So this is my dad, Kevin Ferrier Sr.
And the overhead camera is swiveling around now. Everybody's.
Sitting next to him is my daughter Juliet. Yeah, my son Graydon, daughter Emma. It's my brother Chad. My mom Bonnie. And my wife Heather. Yeah, she's got the sharp.
Heather, please make this official.
Okay, my best.
Blood is acceptable.
Yeah.
Blood doesn't count.
You sure?
Yep. That's what we do. I like you.
Thank you, and the Wife's Association will be hosting a small reception next door. So,
If the board would so agree, we would adjourn for 15 minutes of a reception in honor of our new police officer. I'll follow you across the hall.
Thank you so much.
brother
Darryl?
Does he look like Darryl?
That was pretty good, Sue.
Not many people would get that.
I get it.
I get it.
I get it. I can still see what they
If I said it was my kids, they wouldn't get it.
You're dating yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen back in session. We've had a reception for a newly sworn-in police officer,
That was who?
Kevin Farrar.
That'll be 5.
That's fine.
I thought it's
Thank
6
you.
now.
Thank you, Scott.
6.
Area.
And we're in the portion, we're going to back up and catch Kyle Quorum, Director of Public Works, who wants to talk to the board about a 10-wheeler. Carl.
Good evening.
Good evening.
When last we met, I think we just wanted to check on the legalities of the where we were at and whether or not we could transfer the purchase order to a new vendor. We have confirmed that we can do that. The one thing we can't change is the dollar amount that we encumbered. So we're $6,100 short on the what is now the low bid truck.
So the backup, Carl, in the waning days of 2012,
Yes.
we awarded a contract to a firm,
Yes.
and then it turned out that there was and that firm was low bid, and it turned out that there was a flaw in
Their bid, correct.
in their bid, and they couldn't stand by it.
Correct.
So we then went to the next, probably should be a motion this evening.
That's right,
for the
actually,
next lowest.
Better.
yeah, when
Which is
the,
right
So
line?
your proposal
Well-
is to go to the next lowest bidder.
yes, yeah, and the board actually, we've had so many meetings, they all kind of jumble together, but I have not reported back to the board, we did go try to enforce the low bid as the board had wished. And they basically refused to honor it. So it leaves us at the point where our options are, we take legal action against the vendor who put in a bid that they should stand behind. It's very clear legally that we would have that recourse. However, it would cost us money to do that. Or we just release them from that bid and go to the next low bidder for, it's an additional $6,100. So I guess the board has to weigh there's basically 3 things at play here. One, how much would the legal action end up costing us? And is it more than the $6,100? And how much time would we be tied up without a truck? So my recommendation is that we just cut our losses at this point, go with the vendor who would now be the low bidder, which is Freightliner in New Hampshire. They have a good bid. We've checked through it. We've talked to them. Everything would be fine with that one. And we would somewhat maintain relationships with a vendor that we have a couple of trucks with. So that's our recommendation.
Yes, and before Phil takes a question, in the extra cost outside of what was encumbered,
It's $6,100.
And that would come out of your 2013 budget?
13, correct.
Phil?
Yeah, time-wise, compared to the other vendor that we expect delivery, are they comparable or
Yeah, the delivery time for a new vehicle are very comparable.
between the two? So as far as any time loss or anything would not add to the financial
Correct.
loss as far as dollars?
Correct.
Okay.
And the body package works fine with either truck. There's no difference
Plows,
there.
everything else, everything
Yeah.
else is the same. And yeah, it would seem to me that between time and legal fees, that would probably incur that, if not more.
But you're still talking about a spring delivery?
Yeah, we're probably looking at close to 3 months before we see the truck and chassis.
This plow season.
Yeah.
Scott?
No, I just said it last week. I I don't even know why we're not bringing up their name, but I will. I mean, Peterbilt was the low bidder. They had an opportunity, not just once, but on a couple of occasions to revisit their bid, particularly because I recall that Carl mentioned to us that there was an issue with accessibility and they had a price and a hatch. So it's not exactly as if somebody just had one opportunity, put in a bid, and there might have been an error. They had an opportunity there, and I just think this sets a really bad precedent with vendors and with people putting in bids. I mean, there's no integrity then to the process. I mean, and it would be my opinion that I would proceed with legal action. That's just my opinion. They need to stick by their word, and not only does the town of Goffstown rely upon this, but so does every other municipality or anybody else who is putting things out to bid. You're looking for a fair process, and if you make a mistake, you got to own up to it. And they're not doing that. So that's.
You're recommending then a motion to award the contract Freightliner. Is there?
I think that's what
That's the
Carl's.
motion on the. Well, I don't know if there's a motion. Isn't there a motion already or no?
No,
Somebody
there's
made
no
it?
motion yet.
Motion yet.
No.
Do we need to rescind the last award first?
According to the emails they sent us, they've withdrawn it, so I don't.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I had one more if I could. Legally, you said that we are allowed to do this. I haven't seen anything. I know I'm supposed to trust you, and I do trust you, but this is a big issue. I mean, is that something that Bill Drescher sent you an email, or is there anything that we have that said that we can do
Derek.
that?
they
Derek
talked.
conversed. I talked verbally with him, and you checked in with him, or?
No, I talked with Derek,
Okay.
and he said that Bill Drescher said you can't change the amount.
Right.
But if the low bidder withdrew, then you can assign it the same amount to the next low bidder.
Bill has not, he had a problem with his internet and his computers last week, so I haven't gotten any correspondence from him since we had spoken.
yes, Mark.
I know we've wasted a couple of weeks in the truck dilemma here. Are there any trucks that they may have that are built already on the line, on the lot, that meet our bid spec? There's not, okay.
Around. See, a plow truck, and again, I'm going to keep reiterating this because I don't think the message gets out there to the general public, but a plow truck is different than a dump truck. The frame has to be extended for the plow package. So, unless it's, somebody like International might have a plow truck hanging around if they do in, state bid, but, these guys aren't, they just don't have plow trucks hanging around on the lot.
Yeah, and that front end has to be beefed up to carry all that
It's
extra
a
weight. on the
heavier
of
front
the
end,
truck.
heavier axle, heavier transmission.
Are you gonna be looking for a motion? Do you want a motion, or do we need to
Please.
rescind anything?
Please proceed.
I make a motion that we award the new truck to Freightliner of New Hampshire for the sum of what we had got the first encumbered, and the $6,100 that's short to come out of the 2013 operating budget for highway. Is that correct? It's coming out of highway.
I'll second that.
Can I make a suggestion? That you add into that motion in light of the fact that the first low bid was withdrawn?
Yep, we can add that, yep.
First low bid was what?
First low bid was
Withdrawn.
withdrawn. Yep.
That's the reason why you're now awarding to the second low bidder.
Was it second?
Yes.
Any further discussion?
I just want to say I agree with Scott in a lot of ways. However, I think in the future we'll have other opportunities to voice our displeasure with Peterbilt.
Well, if I can, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and that was the point of the question I asked the director, was time-wise. I mean, that money, as long as it's not time-wise, if we did go any legal process, what's gonna happen is we're gonna at least come close, if not exceed that $6,100. We're looking at time that it takes for that. When the truck comes, in the long run, it'll cost us more money, and I agree with the comment that was made. Let's just, at sometimes you take your losses and you move on, and you're better off in the long run. And just one comment about the process. In a way, the process does work, because we put out a bid, we had something that happened, that the low bidder price technically tried to change that price after it was awarded. It doesn't work that way. You can't get the bid. And that's why it moves on to the next person.
I think this whole board would all feel the same about the legal aspects, and, I mean, we're fighting a losing battle right now, and, you know, if maybe, can we address a letter to them and explain them our feelings that we feel we've been treated unfairly, or is that going too far? All right, never mind. Let's move on.
Be encouraging that. I'd like to call for the vote on the motion concerning the purchase of the Freightliner plow truck at additional cost of $6,100 over what was encumbered. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
I'm a nay.
nay? One nay. 4-1, motion passes. And you put your
Yeah,
opinions into the record already.
All right.
I was reviewing last week's meeting, and I noticed that Carl had recommended, in response to the Selectmen's request, to ask for the, sewer truck to be replaced and something on the six-wheeler, repair to the
Yeah,
six-wheeler?
the priority would be the sewer pickup. But if the board was so inclined, we could get probably another winter out of that six-wheeler if we replace the body on
Okay,
it.
so my question was, did this come up at
Yes.
the Budget Committee
Yeah,
public
I
hearing?
brought it up.
Oh, you did, okay.
Yep, I got into the record.
Okay,
At the public hearing, so
Yes.
it did.
Yeah, I
yes,
did.
okay, so they will be taking that up tomorrow night?
Yeah, David will bring that up.
Okay, and does Dave have the price? Did you give them the price for?
Yeah.
I can give it to him again,
I'll
but
confer with you tomorrow and make sure I have the right amounts. But the intent is to try to put back into the CIP a body for a six-wheel dump and then this pickup truck. Provide me the correct nomenclature and the cost, please.
certainly.
And I'll see you tomorrow.
I had a question for Carl while he's here. Whether it was last week or the week before, we talked about, Casella going from Biddeford, Allenstown, Bethlehem, and where the board authorized Carl to endeavor to go to Bethlehem, but then use Allenstown as a backup.
When he was,
And-
he was required to haul with a smaller capacity tractor.
And we talked about also doing this, I mean, at least I know I raised the issue of doing this as a trial period and then, getting that cost-benefit analysis because, going to Bethlehem is a lot further than it is going to Allenstown. But then again, it was a $20 a ton less expensive cost.
Tipping, yeah,
$20 around that. So
just about, yeah.
About 600 a load, right?
I would. There are folks that are skeptical as to whether or not that is the right thing, and I think we should endeavor to have that, delineated as to we did it for a 2 or 3 month period, and by the way, here are the numbers. When we went to Allenstown, it was X amount of time, driver, wear and tear on the truck, and then going to Bethlehem, and so I do think that's the right thing to do. So
Yeah, just so the board knows, we are doing that. And right out of the gate, we experienced our first problems with the landfill. If you remember, the first day after that meeting, or, January, was 22 below zero up in Bethlehem. And we got up with the first load, and the front third of the trailer was frozen solid. They just couldn't get it out. So we had to come back with part of the trailer in it. The next day, we went up when it was 22 below zero, and the entire load was frozen solid. And what they normally do in that case, they have an excavator there that they kind of paw it to loosen it up. It was so cold that all their fuel had gelled, they couldn't get their equipment running. So essentially the whole landfill was shut down that day because all the equipment was frozen. So we did have to ultimately use Allenstown to get caught up because we basically missed a load and a half that ran up there for nothing. So that's going to be all part of that learning curve, just figuring out how, when not to even try it, when to go, and since then it's been going very smoothly, but that one little hiccup in the beginning was a little bit of a
How's
problem.
it going on the dirt part of the?
Well, it's nice and frozen right
spring.
now.
It's not
That will be the experience in the spring.
Still, I mean, it's.
Yeah, Carl, have, in light of this and in lieu of going to Bethlehem and Allenstown, has there been any thought or any discussion of the waste management facility out?
Well, we would have to break contract to utilize that one. All of this is still within our existing contract, which is in place until 2017.
Well, the reason why I asked is I didn't know if technically the fact that of the sale of the facility and these changes made actually breach of the contract.
Yeah, we could ask lawyers to get involved.
No, I was just wondering what the cost difference would be.
About turnkey?
Yeah, they're typically higher.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they gave us some great deal, but the communities that go there are usually paying a little more.
But I guess the difference, as some of the things Scott talked about, that's a little closer. And we don't have those issues as going to Bethlehem.
Right.
You don't have the elevations.
Right.
That's the only thought.
Yeah.
Thank you. One more?
And I'm just being inquisitive here. I mean, we did, and I think it was Fred Pled or Solid Waste Commission did that cost benefit analysis in terms of private carding, and with Biddeford being the location, does it warrant us taking another look at things, because now it's Allenstown and we're talking about it's almost like half the amount of drive time, whereas it may make sense to have some, because now we're looking at another tractor trailer and it's a body, it's a resource that we have to drive this truck. But due to the fact that it's only probably a 30-minute drive from here to Allenstown, maybe a little bit longer, is that something that we should be entertaining as a private hauler, picking up our trash and taking it to Allenstown?
I would be absolutely delighted to do that, but I can already tell you, because we have communities right next to us that are making that haul, and we have recent bids to haul from Allenstown to Concord, which is not very far, and they don't even come close to what we're doing it for. They are way, way, way more. So I'd be happy to publicly display that, but that is not a place we're not going to save any money.
Yeah, and I respect that. These are the types of things that we do get inquiries from people, and I think periodically, I know we did that solid waste study. I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. I'm thinking on the trash. I mean, I just think it doesn't. It helps us, I think, that we are on top of it to say, okay, things have changed, and we reran the numbers, and we looked at other bids from surrounding communities that are doing it, and now we're comparing it to what we do, and it's still more cost effective.
Yeah.
I just think that is a healthy thing.
Right.
Because there are folks out there that are like, why don't we just have somebody else haul it for us? So that's.
Well, and again, if the board wants me to spend the time doing that, I'd be happy to, because I know how we'll come out. That's one of those star on the forehead sort of exercises, but we have a lot of things on our plate, so I'd rather not spend the time, because that one's not even, I don't even have an itch of a question in my mind that it's going to be very, very favorable, and the fact that it's not going to Maine just improves our advantage, because keeping it in New Hampshire, we're exempt from everything, tolls, and whereas when we go up to Maine, we're treated like a contractor. So it's being in state, it's even more in our favor.
Thank you, Carl.
You're welcome.
Weather's been favorable for outside work.
Yes.
Keeping your crews
Yes,
busy?
it has. It has, very much so. And the bridge is nearing completion. The walls are done, which is great. And matter of fact, we're moving a crew over to
West
Walnut
Union
Hill.
Street.
Yeah, West Union Street. We're in the process of putting the road base back in now, and obviously in the spring there's going to be some more cleanup. But
There'll be compacted gravel till spring.
yeah. And then we're moving over to Walnut very shortly to tackle that culvert over there. That was the other part of that bid that we couldn't award.
Any further questions or concerns Carl can deal with? Thank you for coming in.
Thank
Carl.
you.
Have a safe drive home. Any new business board members want to discuss? Let's move on to the committee reports. SORC Commission was first here on the roster. And Collis, what do you have?
Sewer Commission met on January 9th. Talked about the intermunicipal agreement with the city of Manchester. That new IMA has been signed by all three towns, those being Bedford, Londonderry, and Goffstown. In fact, it became effective on January 1 of this year. Mass Road project closeout, it's all done basically. Paving's been complete, and it's wrapped up. That's good to hear.
How do we do in terms, do you have any numbers on budget, and were we with, anything like that, or?
I can get those if the board likes
I
them.
was just curious to see if we were within, healthy within our budget on that.
Oh, yeah, we were. I
Okay,
can tell you
that's
that.
good enough.
Okay.
You mentioned Mass Road. The citizens know that as the sewer project in Bernardville. And your important point was the final documentation's all been signed.
right.
And
It's all wrapped up.
Yes.
2012 annual report be submitted by the January 25th deadline. Hoyle Tanner Associates is going to be doing a rate review at the request of the Sewer Commission, and in light of the fact that the last rate increase took effect 5 years ago. And finally, talked about the pump stations and the fact that all 4 pump stations are going to be assessed for efficiency and possible refurbishment, particularly the East Union Pump Station, which was built in 1985. Mike Yurgo and Mike Walton are going to do the evaluation and report back to the commission. That was it.
Thank you. Budget Committee, Scott.
Budget Committee held its public hearing last week. Thank you for everyone who attended. Essentially, we've kind of covered a lot of it through our own warrant articles, but tomorrow, David, you'll be attending in my place. I think the things that we do want to address is what Sue and Carl mentioned, and that was the possibility of the Budget Committee considering the possibility of us adding some money in for vehicles. As you know, right now, there is no money at all for DPW vehicles in the budget. So hopefully, they will consider that. And, other than that, we'll await their recommendations, and then we'll go to deliberative session. So I think overall, I thought it was a productive time spent with the Budget Committee.
Thank you for the report on the public hearing. Budget Committee presentation of the school and town budgets. Planning Board.
Planning Board did hold its second public hearing on the proposed zoning changes. There were 2 petition articles that were received by the Planning Board. And one of those petition articles is being recommended, and one is being not recommended. The one being actually both of those mirrored 2 zoning changes that the Planning Board was proposing. So what the Planning Board did was the Planning Board basically withdrew theirs, since the petition ones have to go forward anyway. And the one that was recommended was the changing sign.
The lighted signs that change
the
content of the sign.
Right, electronic message center. Technically, that's what it is. Changing every 15 seconds, not more than every 15 seconds. And we did have a member of the public who thought that it was reasonable. request. And the one that was not recommended was the one for poultry. We had several members of the public who had concerns that poultry was more than chickens. It included geese, and there was nothing in the zoning article that addressed whether the poultry was to be allowed to be running wild, contained, or anything along that line. And they suggested that the planning board look into those types of issues with it for the following year, and the planning board decided not to recommend that one because of those issues that were brought up. And also the fact, the size of the lots, geese could be running around, and it was brought out that geese can be nastier than dogs. Roosters and small ones that many people wouldn't be happy about, so that was part of the reasons for it. And the other ones were mixed that got recommended, the ones that were recommended, but not all the other ones. I don't have that list, and I don't know if Sue has.
I closed down my computer. They withdrew one more because I know it affected our numbering, and I had planned on 10, and there were 9 in the end.
Oh, okay, I don't know about that. And the other thing was there was a presentation from Southern New Hampshire Planning regarding impervious watershed areas that drain into the Piscataqua for the town of Goffstown, and they were accepted as a planning document by the planning board. And that was a request of Jack Munn from Southern New Hampshire Planning that there would just be acknowledgement that we received them to satisfy the grant that they had received.
Thank you for that report, Phil. Just to let the public know, if there were somebody here from the public, we possibly could have a second public comment session near the end of our meeting this evening, but there is no one here, so we'll skip that. Any closing concerns or comments?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Is there anything in the signature folder that needs signatures besides the chairman's signature? Because I don't see it here, that's why I was asking.
Changing the use tax.
We're still recording, David.
Daryl?
Oh,
did we never
did
that one?
We never talked about the dedication.
We're still recording.
It's just